What's up, guys? Welcome to a special edition of Bulls 101, an emergency edition for the free agency frenzy that has gone on the last couple of days. So, joined as always with my guy, Lara Golden, who I was furiously texting to try and do a live reaction while you're out with your family. So, appreciate you coming on and doing this little live reaction real quick. What do you think, man? Like, I got one sentence. The Bulls are back. Bulls are back. We're hyped.
I totally agree, man. I'm just really excited that we've gone from this mom and pop shop mentality, and AK is brought in that, like, you know what, we're in Chicago. It's time to get that big market mindset going. And yeah, we're sending out picks left and right, but like, I think AK is thinking of the bigger picture. I think he's thinking of, you know what, let's bring guys like DeMar DeRozan in, Caruso, winning players in. And yeah, draft picks mean a lot, but I think he's banking on guys wanting to come play in Chicago. You know, if you can put together a team that can win, you can reap benefits from that.
Absolutely. You know, what we really needed this offseason was an infusion of talent on the roster. And we talked about it many times on the show. It was difficult to be able to do this. Before free agency started, I was tweeting something in a group DM saying a wild prediction of, it'd be really funny if we did 3 sign and trades. All right, we sign and trade for Lonzo, we sign and trade Tice out and Lowry out for something else. We're already at 3 sign and trades right now. We signed and traded Lonzo Ball in exchange for Tomas Satoransky and a second-round pick. We signed and traded. Now this is still in the works, but Daniel Tice went to the Rockets. We signed Alex Caruso on the mid-level exception, 4 years, $37 million. And I think we're going to be able to put that into an exception if we work with the Lakers and Rockets. So it's kind of this weird cap thing. But and then we just acquired DeMar DeRozan today from San Antonio. Now this one hurt a little bit financially. I think this one was the one that I think you couldn't say was just a direct win. We got the infusion of talent. DeMar DeRozan's a quality player. He played at an all-star level, even though he wasn't named an all-star. He played an all-star level last year, and he addresses a lot of problems that the Bulls have had. So we'll get into that. But as far as the deal, we sent out Thaddeus Young, who has been a key piece for us the last couple of years, especially this last year. We also sent out a first-round pick, which I heard is protected top 10 in 2025, which is when we can ship out another first-round pick the earliest we can. If it doesn't convey that year, it's going to be top 8 the next year or top 8 the next year after that. I'm pretty sure it's going to convey in 2025. So just consider it, a mid to late round first. Hopefully, we'll be in like a contending atmosphere in 2025. We'll see, but that's kind of where we are with that. We also sent out Al-Farouq Aminu as well. And so that helped the trade a little bit. I posted an initial reaction before I knew that it was protected, before I knew that Amino was included in the deal. But after I learned those things, I felt a lot better about it. Now, the DeRozan contract is expensive. It's basically $27 million a year over the next 3 years, fully guaranteed, no options whatsoever, no partial guarantees. So it's a lot of money. It's about what he was making with San Antonio. So it's, it's not necessarily an overpay for his production, but he is 31. He's on the other side of 30. And I don't know what the other market looked like. The things we were hearing were basically mid-level exception type money. So 27 is a huge jump from 9.5. But our starting lineup looks really, really good right now. I'll say that.
Yeah. No, man. I'll be honest, man. Before everything started to ramp up, and I heard DeMar DeRozan's name, of course, the first thing you think of is like, oh, hell yeah, let's get DeMar here. Like, what are we talking about? But then when, like, you think about, like, his ability on the defensive side of the ball and compounded with Zach and Vooch, you're like, gosh, man, I don't know how that'll go. But then you add Lonzo, you add Caruso, you already have Pat. So now I'm feeling a lot better about that. You know what I mean? Like, of course, the offense is going to be pretty good. I think it's just a great fit all around. But then you also got to think about the other side of the ball, and if you can compete and play some defense against other teams. And I think they made the right moves. I think they brought in the right guys before they got DeMar. And man, I'm happy with what's going on. And yeah, you could look at the deal for DeMar and kind of feel, I don't want to say iffy, but like, man, could have been cheaper. But honestly, man, I'm with AK in terms of like he's being aggressive. He's not looking, in the rearview mirror. He's looking straight forward. He's not trying to think about what could be. Like I said, I think he's just trying to build a powerhouse in terms of like a program, where guys want to come play in this type of system, this type of atmosphere. I mean, Chicago has been waiting so long, since the D-Rose years, but like we've been waiting for a team to be built to see consistent competitiveness, consistent levels of great basketball. Like there's been plenty of nights in the past years where you turn the TV on because you're a Bulls fan, you're going to watch, but in the back of your mind, you're like, this is not going to go well, but I love my team, so I'm going to watch, but now you're invested because you're going to compete every single night. And I got to applaud AK, man. Like the Vooch trade was just, it was just, to let us know what was coming. You know what I mean? He's not afraid to make moves when you need to make moves. And Chris, you've been a big part of saying like, Lowry is still there for taking for some teams. And maybe you can bring it up, but like Minnesota, I think was a team that was connected with Lowry, right?
Yeah. So I was actually surprised that Thad went down in this deal in the first place because there was reported interest several times that Lauri Markkanen was a target of San Antonio. And one of the reasons I thought the trade was delayed was because John Collins, who was a free agent of that same kind of caliber, but I think he's a better free agent, a better free agent than Lowry, was still trying to work out his deal in Atlanta and still has not come to fruition yet. So I thought that the Spurs were waiting to see what would happen with Collins. And then if they miss out on Collins, that they'd go after Lowry and complete this sign and trade with DeMar. But we still got Lowry on the roster. And there's still Oklahoma City and Minnesota Timberwolves have both been reported to have interest, and they both may have ways to do another sign and trade to bring some key players back. So I think, right now our front court is we have one big on the roster, which is Nikola Vucevic. Marko Simonovic is coming over, but he's not signed yet.
Yeah,
I think it's going to be imperative for Lowry to be signed and traded for some help there in the front court. And we need defensive-minded big or rim runner or something to help us out. But I think you mentioned the most important part of this summer so far is the change in the way the Bulls are viewed around the league. It's not being run as a mom and pop shop. It's being run as a big market free agent destination, which is something, when was the last time we had two free agents as big as Lonzo Ball or DeMar DeRozan choose to come to Chicago?
And on top of that, it happened right as the deadline, like as soon as it popped off, Lonzo right there.
Lonzo Ball.
Like, wow. You know what I mean? Like that was great, man. Gosh, man, it feels good. It feels real good.
It really does. What I love is AK reading our tweets? Like what's happening here? Like, because we did our show. Alex Caruso was the first guy we went over as someone, because if we diagnose the problems that the Bulls had last year, it was point of attack defense, right? And not being able to get to the free throw line, not having enough rim pressure and penetration in general, other than Zach. And that's why people were like clamoring for Dotson to play at the end of the year, because they're like, at least we know he can get to the rim.
Right.
But it's basically Zach and nobody else can get to the rim. And so what does AK do? And also we needed a point guard. We need someone else to be able to do some creation, be a connector. Lonzo Ball, I think, fits really, really well. So let's talk about him first, because he was the first signing. So Lonzo Ball, we've talked about him many times. He's a connector. He's a wing-sized guard that is a brilliant passer. He really excels in transition creation, and he's really, really good at seeing advantages in the offense and making the right pass, making the right play to get there. Defensively, he's a quality defender overall. He's not as good at the point of attack as he is as a perimeter kind of help defender. He's much better there. He's got a really good eye for the passing lanes and rotations. He's much better at that. So Lonzo Ball, I think, is a really good quality addition. He was, he'll be 24 right when the season starts, I believe. So we've got him locked up for the next 4 years on a $21 million per year basis, which I think is about what his current value is. According to John Hollinger, who I respect, he's sorry, I just saw a deal from Mark Stein. I was George's Ding. I thought might be a good acquisition for the Bulls, but he just signed with Philly. But anyways, Lonzo Ball, he's a much improved shooter and free throw shooter, and he's a great creator in transition. His half court creation has a lot of work to do, but that's why he's such a good fit here. We got Vooch and we got Zach that can handle creating the initial advantage for the offense, put the defense in a rotation, and then let Lonzo be the connector to find the finishing piece to make the basket. So I love the fit of Lonzo here. I think the price is right. I think that contract is what his current value is, and I think that contract is going to be outperformed in the next couple of years, just like Zach's was. And Zach, I know we were a lot more worried when he signed an $80 million 4-year contract. People were worried, but I think Lonzo Ball's contract is a good gamble to make on a young, constantly improving player that has needs that are fulfilled for this team. What do you think about Lonzo?
Everything you said, I totally agree with, and I just feel like Lonzo is one of those type. He's the type of player that you put him on any team, he's going to find a way to impact, because he's just so good at like his passing ability, his advantage creation. Like the fact that he's improved his 3-point shot, and he was shooting 38% from three. Yes. That has helped his game immensely, because like you said, he's not someone that gets downhill and attacks the basket. So that was something he needed to add, that consistency of being able to knock down the three, because it's okay. Like, of course, being a great passer is really good, but like at a point, teams are going to be able to leave you open, and create those advantages kind of shorten up for you. But now that he's able to knock down a three, you'll get harder closeouts, which helps him to be a better basketball player and use his skill set to give him a better chance at using his handle to attack closeouts and find the next play and stuff like that. Like, that's helped him so much. And for him to play with a guy like Zach, like, I don't think we've seen a lot of Zach off ball because he just couldn't. But adding a guy like Lonzo, where he can bring the ball up and move Zach off ball a little bit, you can run different actions off ball, second side pick and rolls, and have him coming off floppies and stuff like that. Zach has not been fully used to his full capabilities off ball, and I think adding a guy like him and DeMar is so huge for Zach. I think we'll see Zach being in more catch and shoot opportunities, more backdoor type plays for oops, and different things for Zach to use his athleticism and his ability to do things off ball rather than just on ball, even though he was one of the best pick and roll ball handlers in the game last season. But adding guys like Lonzo and DeMar is going to do wonders for Zach, man. And that's just great.
I completely agree. I think it's not just the acquisition of Lonzo Ball, but the acquisition of the combination of players that we just got is really, really key, because they each accent the other's strengths and make up for each other's weaknesses. So Lonzo Ball, he is not as good at getting to the rim, not as good as creating offense for others, creating that initial advantage as a creator, right?
Yep.
But DeMar DeRozan is really, really good at creating self-creation. He's good at finding others. He has a very, very high assist rate, very low turnover rate. He gets to the cup really, really easily. He finds cutters, he finds shooters. He's very, very good on that. And he's a guy, I know we put the ball in Zach's hands in clutch time situations last year. But DeMar DeRozan is another guy we can give the ball to. He's another offensive option that the defense is going to have to plan for. And so I think it really helps out that we got DeMar DeRozan on the team to make tough shots, to add a little bit more creation, which is something we were lacking. And, I think he's going to work really, really well next to Patrick Williams.
Yep.
And to make my point, we can talk about DeRozan a little bit more, but Alex Caruso is the other guy, that combination. What Alex Caruso really excels at is point of attack defense. He's one of the best, if not the best, point of attack defender in the NBA. He shot 40% from three on low volume, but he can knock it down. He's also a smart passer, and he's good at taking advantage of events that have been created, like offensive opportunities as well. So those guys together in that combination is one of the best uses of cap space in assets I've seen. So I know we can talk about DeMar a little bit more. As you said, he's a near all-star level. He generates free throws, and he has one of the highest free throw rates in the league. Generates a lot of free throws, gets to the bucket, dribble penetration. He's very, very good at all that stuff.
I think he got to the free throw line 7.5 times a game on average. So I mean, that's beautiful.
We need it.
Yeah. Also, too, man, another thing to talk about is one of the things that we saw from Pat last season was his cutting ability. When Thad had the ball, his ability to cut back door, make good 45 dive cuts, everything like that. Now, the on-ball possessions for Pat is probably going to go down in terms of like what I was hoping for before we got DeMar. I was hoping for more Pat pick and rolls as him a ball handler or even screener. Which screener could still happen, but ball handler probably won't as much. But just being able to take advantage of the pressure, the gravity that Zach is going to bring, the gravity that Vooch is going to bring, the gravity that DeMar is going to bring. Zach, Pat, and Lonzo, to have those two guys with those three other guys, I think we're really just going to see a different type of game from those two. And it's going to be fun, man. It's really going to be fun to think about. Pat, another good thing, too, is like Pat has gone and played against top-level guys in the USA Select team. And I think it helps playing with a bunch of guys that are at higher level than you, because now you come back to your team. Now you have Vooch, DeMar, and Zach. And you've played with some better guys. Now I feel like his ability to fit in with these guys is going to be an easier transition because he played with some better guys and guys that are all-star caliber. Like DeMar's probably not all-star anymore. You probably could have said last year. He was probably like fringe, but he's still right there. And it's just I'm just happy for this direction, man. Like this is I've not even been this happy about Summer League before, and I'm ready to watch Summer League, brother. This is gonna be great, man.
I'm going to Summer League this weekend for just a little bit, just a day. So I'm excited. I'm gonna get out there and then watch the Bulls. So you mentioned one thing I think is encouraging for Patrick Williams. He's not going to have as big of a defensive necessity as last year because you got Lonzo and Caruso and Troy Brown Jr. now who can share some of that defensive load. I think you're right about the on-ball reps with the starting lineup. DeMar needs the ball in his hands a lot more. Zach, Vooch, obviously, and Lonzo can all handle the ball and make good passes. I think where you're going to see a lot more Patrick Williams on-ball reps is in bench lineups, right? Especially with Kobe out early on.
Yep.
Alex Caruso is not necessarily a ball handler in the traditional sense of pick and roll. So I think you're going to see Patrick Williams in those bench lineups with on-ball reps at the pick and roll. You guys got guys like Kobe, hopefully when he's healthy next to him. You got Troy Brown Jr. Yep. The other pieces, though, that 4 and 5 spot in those bench lineups, that's going to be a little bit touchy. So that's where we're hoping that Lowry – and now we have Lowry to trade if we don't reach an agreement with him. And we also have a mid-level exception and possibly a biannual exception still available to fill out the roster. So it behooves the Bulls to go out and look for quality vets or cheaper players on the market. And there's plenty. A lot of teams have spent their cap space. And so I think the trade market and kind of the cheap free agent market is where we need to find some more guys. One of the guys I think that could be really, really helpful to this team, and we kind of mentioned him when we went over our 15 guys or whatever a week or two ago, is Danny Green. He's currently a free agent. He played for the Sixers last year, but he's someone I think he could be worth a mid-level exception as a 3-and-D wing. Still a very quality guy on both ends and helps teams win. But Let's talk about Alex Caruso before we get to that.
Yep.
What do you? Oh, actually, no. Before we get to that, I want to talk briefly about the other side of the ball for DeMar DeRozan. Defensively, and this is why I didn't feel comfortable with DeMar being our first signing, because I did not feel comfortable bringing him into a lineup with Zach and Vooch without other quality defenders available on the roster. Once we signed Lonzo, once we signed Alex Caruso, then I was like, okay, now you can go get DeMar. We've got defensive, we're not as defensively handicapped as we would if we just signed DeMar. So what can you tell us about what DeMar can bring on the defensive end, if anything, and how we can maybe shore up that defense when he's on the floor? Silence.
So offensively, let me start there for a second. Offensively, DeMar is everything we're going to need. Everything in terms of help for Zach, for Vooch. It's going to be great. It's going to be great. You flip to the other side. That's where I think. That's why, like you just said, I didn't want him to be the first signing, because I needed to see who you were going to add before him. And adding a guy like Lonzo and a guy like Caruso, and you have Pat. Now you can have a little bit more versatility on the wing a little bit, and even in the because DeRozan is pretty good as a small ball four as well. So like you can kind of mess with that, and he's not somebody that's going to fight through screens. He rarely fights through screens. So if you imagine, Kobe got a little bit better during the season, but like before that little progression of Kobe, I mean, it's like that. There's a difference between dying on a screen and not trying on a screen. And DeMar is on the ladder of that. And that's just something, that we're going to have to get used to, but it's great that they're going to have some defenders in that starting lineup with him. So he's a little underwhelming on that side, and that's not I'm not trying to bring down the hypeness on DeMar. We just want to bring you the facts, and if you even look up film, and if you want to bring in the stats and things, that'll also talk to you about that side of the ball and let you know what it is. So I mean, that's the tough part about DeMar, and why you didn't want him to be your first signing.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I really thought that Lowry was going to be the guy going out to San Antonio in that trade.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they just couldn't make it work financially, because double sign-in trades are pretty tricky. I don't even know. I'm not a cap expert that could tell you what would need to go into that. But
yeah,
keep losing Thad hurts, because Thad is a perfect backup 4/small ball 5, and he can play as a starter in spurts. And I think it would have been really, really helpful. So we're going to have to find a replacement there. Maybe someone like Paul Millsap would be somebody who could come in and give us some juice for 15, 20 minutes a game at that spot.
Yeah.
I mentioned Niang, who just signed with the Philadelphia 76ers. So that's a name off the board. But there's some other guys. And if we can find a Lowry sign and trade destination, there may be a 4 or a 5 there that they can send back to us. But you're right about DeMar. I think Bulls fans should expect very little on the defensive end. Now, anything he gives us, and we saw with Blake Griffin, right? He looked washed in Detroit. And then he went to a different environment, and he was able to be competent on the defensive end, or at least more competent than he was. So DeMar's only 31. He's got the athleticism to be a good defender, or to be a passable defender at least. So, maybe in the right fit, in the right situation, he can give a little bit more juice on the defensive end, but I think the expectations should be pretty low on that side.
Yeah.
So if we want to go to Alex Caruso now and talk about him, that's a signing that I thought was the most exciting for me as for more of my analytics side, I guess you could say, because he's a really, really underrated player. Very, very underrated player. Whereas everyone knows who Lonzo Ball is, everyone knows who DeMar DeRozan is. Like the people that don't follow basketball closely, they're the ones getting excited about those two names, because they're like, oh, these are big free agents, Like when the Lakers got Westbrook, people who don't know much about basketball, everyone knew who Russell Westbrook was, right? But Alex Caruso is the unsung hero of that Lakers defense. He is, man can dunk too. He can get up. But He is one of the best point of attack defenders in the NBA. He's 6'4". He's got good size. He's got really good instincts. He's a good transition player, as you can see on offense. He can spot up for threes all around the arc. He doesn't shoot them at a high rate, so he's kind of more of a low usage player, but he's very, very smart.
Yeah.
Whenever he's doing something, he stays within himself, plays within himself, and he's just a winning player. And you got that guy for the mid-level exception, which I think, and Caruso's 27, so you've got him for 4 years. You've got him right through the height of his prime, in my opinion. So I think that's a really, really good value signing. I am shocked that the Lakers did not make a counter offer. When the Bulls offered that, the reporting was they didn't make a counter offer, and they had every availability to bring him back and match that price. But they didn't, so it's our gain. I think Caruso is going to make it so much easier for Zach and Kobe to operate. Yeah. They've taken so much defensive weight off their shoulders. Caruso is going to be a great sign. I'm really excited to see what the Bald Mamba's got for us, because he's beloved by teammates too. All three of the DeMar and Alex Caruso are beloved by their teammates.
Yep.
And I know that Lonzo already has a relationship with Alex Caruso. He played with them on the Lakers. And you've also got his relation with Zach. He's got a relationship with Zach already. And then DeMar DeRozan played with Vooch back in college. So they've got a prior relationship as well.
Yep.
So I love it. I mean, I'm so pleased overall. I know I can quibble about the DeMar trade. I can. And I know the cap experts and ESPN guys are giving it low. They got like a D- from Kevin Pelton, who I respect a lot, and Seth Partnow. But sometimes you can have a move that is not a cap friendly or an asset friendly move. Something that can be rated poorly, but can still have a positive net impact on your team. I think of the Drew Holiday trade for the Bucks. Right. If you look at what they gave up several, a couple of rotation players and like a bunch of picks and pick swaps. Like, it's bad asset management, but the Bucks are in a position where Drew Holiday was the piece that they needed, and they won the championship partly because of that decision. So that was a bad cap, but good result type of decision. I'm hoping that DeRozan can be the same thing, where you maybe overpaid him a little bit, maybe sent out too much in that trade if you want to quibble there. But ultimately, it's a guy that's going to help your team win more games.
My goodness, that last pass. But so the one thing I love about Alex Caruso is if you look at a lot of the teams that made the playoffs, and you think about for instance, for Brooklyn, you brought up Blake, but I want to bring up Bruce Brown. You think of guys like that come on the team and they add that element that you need, and you may not realize it, but he brings a winning element, right? He's a guy that makes the right pass when you need to make the right pass. He reads the floor well. He's not somebody, like you said before in our past episode, he's not somebody that's going to drive downhill and get to the basket, but he is a guy that can take a few dribbles and he's able to find the right pass. He's able to dump it off to a big or throw the oop to the big. He's not someone that when the ball touches his hands, the possession dies or the advantage is dead. He's a good player.
Yeah,
exactly. And he's defensively is what I'm most excited about, because we haven't seen a point of attack defender on this team like him in a while. And he's going to help Vooch so much, and it's going to help our defense stay out of really bad situations. It's going to help so much. And Alex is a guy you're going to look back at the end of the season and be like, wow, what a signing. You know what I mean? If you already are not feeling that way, like me and Chris are. Yeah, man, Alex Caruso is somebody that I'm happy that he's on the team, because you need players like Caruso, man. You need players like him. So
he's great. He's a glue guy. If you remember, Mike Dunleavy was kind of that guy for us back in the day.
Yeah.
But you mentioned we haven't had a point of attack defender, and I think the first thought when we signed him, I was like, this is, for Bulls fans, the comparison is he's Chris Dunn with a jump shot, right? Mm-hmm. Chris Dunn, I think, was more of a physically menacing defender. He's a dog on defense, but Caruso is just fundamentally sound, very, very good on the defensive end, the point of attack, and he can shoot. He can shoot the ball. He doesn't hurt your gravity. And so what I love is when you look at what we did with our roster, we sent out Tomas Satoransky, who I love. He's an underrated player. I'm sad that we had to give him up, but Lonzo Ball's an upgrade, a direct upgrade to what Sato does, and he's younger, and I think he's going to help our team. And then you send out Thad for DeMar DeRozan, who addresses some needs. Now Thad was awesome for our team, but there's no doubt that he lost some of the effectiveness of his game when Vooch came in. Vooch kind of replaced a lot of that kind of that short roll passing game that Thad was so good at. You know, when Vooch came in, both Thad and Lowry, I thought, lost a lot of effectiveness with their skill sets. Their skill sets became kind of redundant. DeMar brings a completely unique skill set to this team that's really, really needed. And then Alex Caruso, you know, basically replaces your kind of your need of Chris Dunn or Shaq Harrison type, but he can shoot 40% from three. Now, maybe he's not going to shoot 40% from three, but he's got enough gravity that Zach is going to have so much space to cut and dive. Same with Patrick Williams. Vooch can play out at the three. You can play 4 out and have DeMar work in the post. Like there's so many options for this team. There's so much versatility, I think, by signing these quality guards. And forward with DeMar. So I'm stuttering over myself, but I'm just so excited. I was not able to take the smile off my face all day yesterday after we signed Lonzo and Caruso.
One thing I want to add to what you were saying is Billy has gotten some flack, you know what I mean? Obviously last year was tough. Starting Lowry at the 3. But again, his hands were tied. But there were some things you could be very nitpicky with him. But the one thing that I think you can't knock him for is he is really good at putting guys in the best situations, like in terms of he changed the whole offense like right away for Vooch, right? And he put guys in situations that are to their strengths. Thad, right? That Billy comes, Thad has like a career year, right? And it's like now he has more toys to play with. Right, you got DeMar. He could do different sets for him. Right, Zach and Kobe love to come off those Iverson cuts and get the ball and attack off a live dribble. There's just so many things you can do now with having DeMar and Lonzo and Zach, and there's just so many things, man. It's gonna be fun, man. It's gonna be fun.
Well, think about what AK said. He likes guys that are smart, that move the ball. Billy said after the Vooch trade that we got a lot slower. He wants guys that can play fast, that can play in transition. Caruso and Lonzo are both really, really good at that. All 3 of Caruso, Lonzo, and DeMar are ball movers. They're smart basketball players that have they make smart decisions with low turnovers. It's something that Zach struggled with as he's had such an offensive load. The one hit on that was his turnovers, right? He committed a lot of turnovers. With the ball less in Zach's hands overall, where there's more options, there's going to be less pressure on Zach when he does have the ball, because the defense knows DeMar can move it, Lonzo can move it, Caruso can move it, Pat can move it, Vooch can move it. These guys can Kobe can move it. Like these guys, we have so many ball handlers now. We have the multi-ball handler system that Boylan tried to run without a point guard was not as effective as this is going to be. And Donovan, as you mentioned, Donovan's one great skill, I think, is adapting to his team. It's a mark of a great coach, and I think even though he's got some vanilla schemes overall, I think you can make some criticisms there. He's got so much to work with now. He's going to put these guys in the position where they're going to best succeed individually and as a team. And I think you're going to see the sum of the parts is greater. The whole is going to be greater than the sum of its parts.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you, man. And I'm trying to not be overly excited, but the fact,
who cares, man?
Just in my lifetime, I'm trying to think of in my lifetime.
When have you been this excited?
Like obviously, I'm a Derrick Rose fan, so yeah. But like I think about like the year where we tried to get Carmelo Anthony to come in, and we were thinking he was coming, then next thing you know, it goes to the Knicks, right? Like I felt like this is that time where everything that we wanted, we were thinking about, everything we talked about, we like, man, this would be great, but from past years, it's not going to happen. And then AK just punches right through the glass ceiling, gets through there, and just lets us know, like, hey guys, I wasn't lying when I said we're not done yet. I wasn't lying. That wasn't just me walking out trying to get you guys hyped for nothing. Like I want to win, and I'm gonna do what needs to be done to continue to build a winner. And nothing but respect to brother AK, man, and me, man, Mark Eversley too, man. Shout out Mark Eversley, man.
So Casey Johnson reported, and also Chris Haynes reported, that DeMar DeRozan, one of the big factors in DeMar DeRozan coming here was his relationship with Mark Eversley. Mark Eversley, I believe, scouted him pretty heavily when DeMar first came in the league. So kudos to that. I mean, that already makes Mark Eversley's year here worth it, in my opinion. That relationship. Billy Donovan's got great relationships with players. AK's got great relationship with front office. JJ Polk, who came in, he's our cap expert. Man, the cap nerds have loved this offseason so far for the Bulls as far as what they've been able to do with minimal assets. I mean, if Gar Forman were running this show right now, he wouldn't even – I hate to slander the man, but there was so little creativity. Like when we, he would just say, well, we don't have any cap space. There's not really much we can do this offseason. AK is like, doesn't matter. We're going to find a way. We're going to get the players onto the Bulls that we should. And that's the way the Lakers operate. That's the way maybe not this year, the Celtics, but that's the way Miami operates. That's the way the the Brooklyn Nets operated. That's how they got KD and Kyrie. You act like a big market team. You act like a destination that free agents want to come to. And the vibe has changed completely in the last 6 months or so since AK made that trade for Vooch.
I don't know if you want to. There's a question here.
Sure,
I'll pop it up here to let you read it.
So, legitimate question: with this trade to Chicago, is Lonzo Ball, Scottie Pippen, Tony Kukoc, or Bruce Bowen? That's funny. I don't know. My kids are screaming in the background, but you want to answer?
I mean, I won't go that far. I mean, brother, we're talking about a top 50 player of all time, Tony Kukoc, Hall of Famer, one of the best defensive players ever, and a pretty good three-point shooter. I don't know, man. If I had to pick, it'd probably be Bruce Bowen if I had to pick. But I don't know, man. That is a tough one. Well, not tough at all, because I don't think he's anywhere near Scottie or Tony right now.
But Lonzo's got a lot of promise. He's got a lot of growth, I think, still left in this game. So I know I think we got through what we wanted to get through today, but there's more coming up. We've got Lowry. We can either match a deal. I still think he's got value at the 4 as the backup 4. If he wants to take a deal kind of in the range of his qualifying offer. If not, I don't think he wants that deal. I don't think he wants that role. I think he wants to leave. So if OKC or the Kings or Minnesota Timberwolves, they've got assets they can send our way, as my kids have a meltdown outside, we need to fill that 4 and 5 spot, that backup 4 and 5, really badly. We don't have anyone other than Marko Simonovic.
Yes,
at the backup 4 or 5 right now.
Can we touch on that really quick? Really quick?
Yeah, absolutely.
Marko, guys, understand the excitement for Marko, right? Watched a lot of film on him, talked to a lot of my friends about him, Mark Schindler, Evan Zaucha, shout out Premium Hoops, PD, we mentioned Marko. He's not, I wouldn't expect him to contribute right away. He's not ready yet. He defensively, he's got to work on some things. I think they're going to have to figure out what types of schemes they're going to have to run with him when he's on the floor defensively, if he's going to play at all, depending on if we trade Lowry for pieces. So let's just see how he plays in Summer League and see what he does there. But I would kind of temper the expectations on Marko Simonovic and see where it goes from there. That's all I really had to say. I just wanted to get that out there.
I would say the same for Ayo Dosunmu. Right, He's a great player. I think he's going to be a valuable rotation piece in the future. But I would not. I mean, I don't expect Ayo or Marko to just roll right into the rotation and be quality players. They're going to have a learning curve. I mean, Patrick Williams, who might be starting at the 4, he still has a big learning curve. He's still, he's not a starting quality 4 yet. I hope he will be. I hope he's going to continue to grow. But there's some growth there. We need some development from those guys this year. But have some patience. We need some vets to come in and fill that role. So Caruso at the point, we need TBJ to contribute more this year. We got to bring in some more guys though. So we got a Lowry trade that's possible. that can bring in some guys. We've got about 20. I think it's about $25 million left before we hit the tax. So we've got some moves still to make. We can sign Lowry, or we can move him, bring in some other guys. We can use the mid-level exception, which is about $9.5 million, which is about what Caruso got in that deal. And we'll see where we go from there. So free agency's not done, but with these three big signings, I just felt like we had to give a quick reaction and our initial thoughts on it. Yep. So I think. I think we've got, MG Blazer mentions half the team is 6'6". I love the size. I love the size of our guards and our wings.
Yes. Yes.
So now we just need some bigs. I think maybe an extra big wing to bring in. I think we're golden. I think we're going to have a really nice year. So I'm so excited. What a great offseason. Congrats to our Terrence Karnisovas. You've really made a believer in me, out of me. I was not 100% sure after the Vooch trade. Didn't trade for Lonzo. I was a little worried. Didn't make any back end of the roster moves the rest of the season. I was like, I don't know about that. Didn't make any draft night trades. And, I thought didn't make the kind of reach play with Sharif Cooper or there were some other guys at that spot over Io that I thought he might take. But, man, he's coming out swinging in free agency, that's for sure.
Definitely. Yeah, I think the mindset for AK just, is draft picks matter, but building winning matters even more. So if you can build a team through free agency and build a competitive team, more players will want to come, and that's just where I think he's at. So.
All right. Well, thanks guys. Thanks for checking in with us. We'll have our usual show hopefully this Saturday evening with some more news from free agency. But thanks for coming into this special emergency edition, and we'll see you guys soon.
Yes, sir. Have a good one, guys. See you Saturday.